They want to eliminate 7 billion people. Will you and I be among them? My goodness. This morning, in my email, was a note from John-Henry, the co-founder and the current president of LifeSite News. And it's to everyone, all of their supporters and those whom they wish to be supporters, anybody. I'm going to read it to you, and I was a little startled by one thing about halfway down. I'll read it to you. It begins, "This is an election year in the U.S. In normal times, an election is the moment when ordinary people can take back control of their nation's destiny. But these are not normal times. Across the globe, men and women are waking up to the alarming truth that governments no longer serve God or the people." And beloved, I'll interrupt to say myself that if President Trump gets in, it's a complete act of God. If the Democrats, if Biden is not reelected, it is a complete act of God, because every scheme and every evil is out there that he would continue to be our president, as inept and evil as he is. At least done evil things. And those that surround him and advise him and even direct him, the devil is wise. And I would not put it past them to do anything. I know that recently someone has made a motion that no one should be able to vote who cannot prove U.S. citizenship. I totally agree with that. But there are those in the Democratic Party who do not. So we are up against not just an election, but an absolute war for good against good and evil. And so LifeSite says that they're committed to bringing the unvarnished truth about world affairs, the truth about the mainstream media, which won't give you the truth. Truth is what we live for. It's the air we breathe, John-Henry says. And the truth of what humanity is facing is horrifying. I'm reading right from their little letter, which is a fundraising letter. And I'm not reading this to raise funds for LifeSite News, but because of the message that's contained, which I know is true. Globalist, I continue. Globalist, I'll read the sentence again above it. And the truth of what humanity is facing is horrifying. Globalist elites are hell-bent on using the power of national governments to carry out a worldwide cull, C-U-L-L, of human beings. They are pledged to bring the world population down from nearly 8 billion people to just 1 billion, and I would say even below 1 billion. That means 7 billion people have to go, beloved. And John-Henry continues, that's right, according to these plans, 7 billion people must go. Will you or your children be among them? You might think that this can't possibly be true, but the 1 billion limit is no secret. Look at these recent words. Look at these recent words from Dennis Meadows, one of the authors of Limits of Growth, the 1972 Manifesto for Global Depopulation, sponsored by the Club of Rome. Beloved, this is the first time I've seen the limits of growth spoken of in 50 years. When I was in my early 30s, that book came out. 1972, I was in my early 30s. I was born in 43, so you could figure that all out, which means I would have been 32, 33. And all my life, and I grew up in the Jewish faith, which most of you know, and it's very rich and very, very beautiful. And there was a great sense that we were the people of God. There's only one God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But something within me, I lived actually from childhood on with a sense of emptiness, purposelessness, meaninglessness that nothing could fill. Not Judaism. I had 3 marriage proposals. I never married. When I was 10 years old, I began asking why mankind is on the earth. No one could ever give me a reason. I probably didn't ask Catholics, and I was afraid of them then, because we went to school, public school with Catholics, 6th grade, 12-year-olds, and they were speaking of heaven and life after death, and they scared me. I thought, what good are you on earth if you're concerned about life after death? Whatever that is, how can we know? That's where I was at. And when I was in my 30s, I never read because I wasn't interested in fiction. And I really didn't have a reason to live or what to know is truth or not. So I just didn't read, fiction or nonfiction. For some reason, the title of this book, when I was in my early 30s, grabbed me. And I remember the morning that I sat with a friend. I was in a little tennis outfit playing tennis at 6 in the morning before work. And we went for breakfast. And I told my friend that I had just read a book that shook me no end. Why did it shake me? I never cared about anything before. I hardly knew who the president of the country was. I wasn't interested. But this book, Limits of Growth, written by the Club of Rome, took me through, and all of its readers, the growth of the world, of the planet. And the growth was not by addition, but exponential, which means, as you know, by multiplication. So 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 to 32. And they assessed, I forget the year, I think it was 2012 or something, I don't remember, that our planet wouldn't be here anymore. Why? Because of the population, and because even though in the year 1972, there was plenty of space on the earth, plenty of resources, they assessed that look how I remember this 50 years later. I don't remember anything else I read then, but it really impacted my life. And for the first time, I said, we're going to be extinct. We need to know what's going on, and we need to be part of it. There's not going to be food. There's not going to be resources, all of that. We have to do something. And these were top world scientists in the Club of Rome who did this, weren't publishing opinions, but the result of their survey over many years. And it woke me up. I said, we need to know what's going on in this world. And we're doomed. We're doomed. The way they figure it out, we're doomed. Well, this is the first time, John-Henry, I don't know that you're listening to this, that anyone has mentioned that book. And he says, at these recent words, 1972, from Dennis Meadows, one of the authors of Limits of Growth, the 1972 Manifesto for Global Depopulation, sponsored by the Club of Rome. I don't think I got it together at that time, that the theme was depopulation. I don't recall that. I knew we had to do something about it. And John-Henry says, we are going to have 1 billion people. That's what the Club of Rome said. We have to get back down. That's what lies ahead. The man who said these words knows exactly what they have in store for us. And John-Henry continues, which I'll continue right after this break. Just before the break, I mentioned how in my early 30s, where I could care less, I hardly knew who the president was. I knew nothing of politics. I could care less. I didn't know why mankind was on the earth. But this book, Limits of Growth, written in 1972 by members of the Club of Rome, top scientists around the world, showed that in time, exponential growth, the number of resources and food and land and everything else would be diminished and not be able to support the world's population. I didn't see it as the Manifesto for Global Depopulation at the time, but again, they said we're going to have 1 billion people. We have to get back down. And again, if the Earth has 8 billion now, they have plans to eliminate 7 billion of us, is what Meadows foresees for you and your family. Famines, epidemics, revolutions, dictatorships, a lower standard of living. And you see, beloved, I might have read this in Limits to Growth in 1972, figuring that we're doomed. We have no control over this. Never could I have imagined it would be planned by globalists. I continue. Radical climate scientist Hans Schellenhuber, who was appointed to the Pontifical Academy of Science in 2014, has echoed the 1 billion level. It's from the Vatican. The carrying capacity of the planet, he said, may be below 1 billion people. Can you imagine that? Multiply and fill the earth, said our Lord, but don't go over 1 billion people. John-Henry says nearly a century ago, H.G. Wells, an early advocate of a globalist eugenic state, put it starkly. Those swarms of blacks and brown and dirty white and yellow have to go. I can't imagine this. They avoid that language today, but their goal is unchanged. They will do this by coercing and shaming men and women into having fewer children. And they will seek to kill those that they deem surplus to requirements. Since the time of H.G. Wells, as the world population continues to grow, they desperately need to up the killing if they are to achieve their goal. But globalists see only a surplus population to be culled and hundreds of millions of dollars to be made. The sight of large families and young children leaves their hearts cold. The urgent need to repel the global depopulation assault compels me, John-Henry says, to write you with deep passion and concern at the beginning of our annual spring campaign. Their goal is a world that is depopulated, impoverished, and enslaved. No decent person wants to see this future. But the globalists have always relied on the mainstream media to make sure that ordinary people never even suspected the scale of the wickedness of their plan. But something's changed. The mainstream media has lost its monopoly on information. We give you the information that the politicians don't want you to have. We give you the tools that you need to fight back. That's why one of the reasons why I'm such a fan of LifeSite News, but I utterly trust them. Let me just see. 17 journalists, they said, we will never give in and we will never back down. There is a saying, great is the truth and it prevails. All human history testifies to the fact. That's why the forces of evil always use censorship. It's the only thing that buys them a little more time. That's why today we're under the threat from censorship like never before. When the globalist World Economic Forum met at Davos this January, the priority for the world's most powerful people was how to stop people like you and me from sharing the truth with each other. This is straight, John-Henry says, out of Orwell's 1984, which says they will make us get their facts right. The truth dearest to our heart, the truths about God, life, and family, will be ruthlessly suppressed as just opinions, because they know that when we tell the truth, we win. Internews president and CEO Jean Bourgault told her fellow World Economic Forum collaborators, quote, disinformation makes money, and we need to follow that money. A lot of those dollars go to pretty bad content, so you can work really hard on exclusion lists or inclusion lists just to really try to focus their ad dollars toward the good news and information, the accurate and relevant news and information. Of course, that's made up of their lies. Make no mistake, John-Henry says, this is about cutting off truthful media and returning to the domination of globalist control media outlets. We must be able to spread God's truth today. And he says this is only the beginning of the struggle. And whatever we're reading here goes for the Station of the Cross and every good, solid, Orthodox Catholic apostolate. There are more dangers ahead than those behind us, and we need your financial support to build strength for the battles ahead. Here are some of the dangers immediately on the horizon. The 2024 U.S. election will decide who governs the most powerful nation on earth. Bad results could mean a massive advance for the globalist forces of death. World War III is closer than ever as flashpoint conflicts continue in Ukraine and the Middle East. Infiltration by globalists is turning once Catholic bodies, like the Pontifical Academies of Science and Life, into new battalions for Satan's war against life. A massive worldwide push for euthanasia will make end-of-life murder as common as abortion. The elderly, disabled, and even the depressed are in immediate danger. The extension of Africa is imminent unless we take urgent action now. Deadly new censorship attempts could take down pro-life, pro-family media forever. These are unprecedented times. The sky grows darker. At the beginning of World War II, Winston Churchill issued this warning: if we fail, then the whole world, including all that we have known and cared for, will sink into the abyss of a new dark age, made more sinister and perhaps more protracted by the lights of perverted science. What he said then, John-Henry says, is more true now. We cannot afford to lose this fight. We can bring the light of truth to people's hearts and minds, and we can flourish again in freedom, prosperity, and the knowledge of God. They want to eliminate 7 billion people. Will you and I be among them? My goodness.